what's going on, guys? This is Evan, the Dark Souls enthusiast, bringing the Dark Souls gameplay commentary on the PlayStation 3. This is not a Prepare to Die edition gameplay commentary. I decided I want to get a little more Dark Souls in on the old edition of Dark Souls before all the DLC comes to consoles. I've already got my fill of the new content on the PC. I just couldn't wait and just had to buy it. And so yeah, I've done a little Prepare to Die and a couple Prepare to Die videos on the channel. And once it releases on consoles, I'll pretty much go hog wild. The reason I didn't do a whole lot of Prepare to Die edition content from the PC is I much prefer playing on console for Dark Souls. The PC was fine, and I enjoyed some of the texture mods and stuff, but my rendering equipment kind of sucks for PC. Don't get me wrong, DX Story is an amazing program, but I don't have like an external capture card or anything like that, so it lags my CPU processing time when I render video live. So it's just easier to do it on consoles for the time being. And frankly, I think most of the players are going to be on consoles anyway, so I didn't want to invest a whole lot of time into making a plethora of PC characters, not what I'm ultimately going to be mostly doing on console gameplay. So there just wasn't a lot of point investing a lot of time into making characters, particularly when, as I said, I don't bottomless box glitch, I don't use trainers. I try to keep everything in this channel as legit as I can, so that's kind of how it goes. I also want to get in the habit in these videos of telling everyone at the start of the video what's going to be going on throughout the entire video, and the point of this video is actually to announce a new series, share some requests. I'd like to share the channel some things I'd like some feedback on from you guys if possible, but principally in this match you're going to see an assortment of I think 9 to 10 PvP matches with the Darkmoon Covenant, where I'm trying to get 10 souvenirs of reprisal just to acquire Darkmoon Talisman and Darkmoon Blade. I decided it was time to make another Faith character. This is going to be a theme-based character, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But because this character didn't have adequate faith to really do anything I wanted to do with the character, and it didn't have the right weaponry, because this character is still early in its developmental cycle, and everything wasn't where I needed it. So I had to make do with a Lightning Shotel, some Wrath of God's Miracles, and some other odds ends. So, an Occult Balder Sword. You know what the idea as the video goes on, so just expect some quick PvP matches and a fight with Dark Sun Gwendolyn at the end, because I wanted to show that I was going to dispose of him once I no longer needed him, at least at this stage in the character's development. But anyway, I guess now is a good time to actually introduce the new series. I'm going to do a Road to the Darkmoon gameplay commentary series, which is sort of a play on the infamous Road to Commander series that a lot of commentators do for Call of Duty. I want to do a series that's me playing a character through all the PvP matches it takes me to get 99 souvenirs of reprisal. I don't intend to edit anything out, and I do intend to actually kill every character I encounter. And I'm not sure what happened here, but so sometimes if I invade someone who doesn't look like they're really interested in PvP, I'll actually soak Blackstone out. But for the purposes of this series, I'm actually going to sort of roleplay it a wee bit, not really live roleplay, and not going to LARP with my characters here, so much as it's my intention to sort of just play a faith-based character as much as I can. So in the Road to the Darkmoon, I'm going to use what I consider to be Darkmoon stuff. I'm going to use a lot of Wrath of Gods, Darkmoon Blade, occult weaponry, things like that. Just stuff that I perceive a Darkmoon would use, and that's going to be that. It's going to be all done over the Prepare to Die edition once it comes out as DLC, so there'll be no Darkwood Grain Ring. I'll tell everyone up front, I'm not going to use the Hornet's Ring either. Even post-nerf, I just don't feel like it's appropriate. I'm also not going to use any family masks. I'm using a family mask right now. That is the Mask of the Child, because this character was so incomplete, I felt like I needed a crutch to kind of help me get back into the game, so that's why I'm rocking what I'm rocking. I have to say, I don't really recommend the Shotel as a PvP item. It just great utility, not a lot of range. Makes a great secondary weapon, not so much a primary weapon, at least in my opinion. But getting back to the topic at hand, yeah. So the Road to Darkmoon will be all the way from 0 souvenirs of reprisal to 99. All of Darkmoon invasions, of course, in various areas wherever I happen to be able to get some invasions going on, and we're just going to show all the battles until I get to 99. So this guy's a gentleman. I let him buff, so he let me cast my replenishment miracle. That's something I'm going to try to use a lot in these Road to the Darkmoon videos. So I want to use like an assortment of faith-based magic. Of course, Wrath of Gods is pretty much the only useful offensive spell next to Force if you want to fish for backstabs. And of course, Darkmoon Blade if you want to go rush down. And I intend to use all those things except Force. I'm not afraid of backstabbing. I'm definitely going to backstab my opponents at any opportunity I get, but I'm I'm going to try my hardest not to fish for backstabs all fight. That's why I was using sort of the Shotel in these videos. I, of course, could have just made a Chaos Rapier +5 and went for backstab fishing, but, you know, the Shotel's fun to use, and, you know, Shotel doesn't emphasize backstabs, it emphasizes R2, so definitely a fun weapon to PvP with, and I think once this character is complete, I'm actually going to go back to it, because, in my experience, the Shotel actually synergizes really well with Wrath of the Gods. Not that anything doesn't synergize with Wrath of the Gods, but with Shotel, it has so little range, and when you start using Wrath of the Gods, people try to either run away from you or come at you, like roll into you and stuff like that. So I'm all about that. I feel that usually people try to move in when I start casting Wrath of the Gods with rolls. We'll see if that changes once the Ninja Flip is gone. But in any case, when people move in, it brings them close enough for me to get some Shotel backstabs going on, and I've been trying to identify my style. Sometimes when I PvP, I try to mimic the style of others that seems really successful, and I think that's a mistake. I'm trying to work on some other skills. I want to get my skill set up for parrying and things like that, so hopefully in these videos, that'll all be a big part of it. You know, there'll probably be, I'd say I win over half my matches, typically, so, you know, we're going to see probably 130 to 150 PvPs across several different uploads. I'll probably upload them in segments of, say, 10 to 15 PvP matches. That's kind of the plan, so we'll see how things go, and ultimately I'm going to try to use mostly occult / Darkmoon weaponry, so that may not make sense lore-wise, but it's how I want to do it. So I'll post the character build in the description of this video so everyone can see what they're eventually going to be watching if they choose to stick with this series. And while I'm at it, I'll probably throw in some other PvP with some older characters. I want to revisit. There's some characters I put a lot of time into making that really didn't get a lot of time in the sun, because I'd make them, you know, PvP with them for maybe 10 hours and be like, well, look at these other cool builds I can make. And considering I actually play through the single player every single time in order to build these characters, it's kind of a shame I don't play some of them more. It's just I always feel like I want to try like the new buzz, the new style, and I guess since I never muled or used the bottomless box glitch, it just didn't let me test without going through all the effort of building it. All in all, it might have been a mistake early on in my sort of Dark Souls commentary / gameplay career, if I may, to avoid using all the convenience glitches and things like that. But I guess ultimately it's just how I roll. Actually, playing a Faith caster, you know, I'm currently leveling a heavily invested Faith character at 50 Faith, and I gotta tell you, having access to Homeward is amazing. Now, no doubt there was other ways to do it. You know, Homeward bones are cheap and easy to get, but just having Homeward just feels really convenient. And I'd say all in all, Faith characters are my favorite kind of characters to play. I like the magic. I like sorcery too. This guy's got some Wrath of Gods going here. At this point in my PvP cycle, I didn't actually have enough faith to cast Wrath of the Gods, so I was just like, well, I guess I don't get to do that like he does. And he wraths me and I cut him down. He had 4 life at the time of my death. You also see me using things like Sanctus and Darkmoon Bow. Those are all going to be things that appear on this character, and I'm really excited to use those things because they're not always optimal. Like, I don't really think Sanctus is that great of a shield. I don't think it's a bad shield either, but I think most players are better off with the Crest Shield or something like that, because Sanctus doesn't really encourage a person to go in. Sanctus sort of rewards turtling strategies, and kind of conclusion, my PvP, I like to be pretty defensive. I like to wait for openings, so I'm trying to find my balance of how aggressive to be versus how defensive to be, which has always been a problem for me. But I definitely think I should err on the side of defense, because that's just what I'm better at. I'm better at avoiding attacks than going in for attacks, and hopefully I can find a good balance to turn that into a good way to play my character. So, like with Wrath of the Gods, I try not to spam it too much unless I feel like it's a guaranteed win, or I feel like the person, quote-unquote, deserves it. That's, of course, totally up to me to decide, but when I'm using the Faith characters, since I don't necessarily spam my Wrath of the Gods, it's important that I time them correctly. Like when a person tries to come in, get them with a Wrath, when they're in attack animation, you know, roll past swings to get backstabs, things like that. Those are all things I'm trying to master along with parrying, and that all rewards good defensive gameplay. And so we're going to see how far I can take defensive gameplay before I just need to start going in on people a little harder. And as always, I'm open to criticism in these videos. I'm not particularly interested in ethical discussions. I had a lot of ethics discussions in some of my older videos. Now I'm kind of looking to move on to a more, you know, actual gameplay orientation. So let me know what you guys think. I'm pretty excited to do this series. It felt good to do these quick PvP matches, so I'm definitely looking forward to coming back into it. And I'm sort of changing. I like to wave instead of bow now for no particular reason other than tired of looking at the bow. So I wave, so I figure it's okay for me to go ahead and cast Replenishment. so I do and go at it. There'll be a lot of losses in these videos. I make no claim that I'm some sort of Dark Souls PvP expert, but I'm trying to get there. And I'm interested to see if some of my predictions in my earlier Prepare to Die edition come true, such as I really think that strength weapons kind of suck, but a lot of YouTube commentators I really respect have put out videos refuting that point, so we'll see what ultimately happens. I think only time, player choice, and style will tell how right or wrong I am. One thing I've always enjoyed about Dark Souls is you can really make any build work for PvP or PvE. It just depends on how hard you want to work. There's no disputing certain strategies are a lot easier than others, and certain strategies are a lot more one-dimensional than others. And I feel like my faith-based character is going to be a very multi-dimensional strategy. Between having a couple switch weapons in my inventory, but we're going to use an occult weapon, which is kind of uncommon in general, frankly. We're going to use an occult weapon, and we're going to use miracles, Wrath of the Gods in addition to other things, and we're going to be using some miracles just to counter specific things, and we're going to be using Sanctus and, you know, a lot of miracle boosting equipment. So we'll see how it plans out. I think it'll be interesting. Right now I'm also trying to pick armor choice and weapon choice. What's optimal isn't necessarily the best looking, so I'm trying to find a balance between cosmetics versus effectiveness. I really still like to PvP with, you know, enough poise to fight off the katanas as best I'm able, so we'll see how things go. You'll see my initial build on the description of this video. I am totally open to suggestions, but remember, a lot of this is to theme, so if you find that, you know, I'd be better off just using an elemental weapon, yeah, I already know, I'm just not going to, and I have to stay around soul level 122 so I can play with the crowd that decides to play the soul level 100 range. Personally, I think the arena kind of sucks, and I don't see why players want to PvP, and I was not impressed with it at all on PC, which is actually why I didn't do any uploads of it. But if that's people's thing, staying at 122 will let me run into those folks, so that's a good thing. And this guy, of course, goes down to Wraths. Probably wasn't necessary to Wrath there, but there's really no shame in using Wrath of the Gods. I used to feel like, basically based on reaction to the community, I should never use Wrath of the Gods because it was shameful or something like that. I completely disagree now. If I'm going to wear equipment that boosts my miracles and makes me weak to miracles and, you know, sorceries and things like that, and I'm not using a Hornet's Ring, I think I'm entitled to use my miracles liberally. Miracles are easily counterable. Wrath of Gods is easily counterable, and that's usually the biggest offender for people, so and we'll see how things go, but I kind of expect to just I want to PvP with honor, but I also want to, frankly, I want to PvP the way I want to. I don't want to do things solely based on what I think my opponent would be offended by. Not that I ever did, but the community is very opinionated on Dark Souls about what's a legitimate strategy and what's sort of a jerkwad thing to do, things like that. And, you know, I've talked about this in the comments on the videos. Over the time I've made Dark Souls PvP videos, even the times I've been invaded in my PvE videos, I think everything in the game has been cited as being unfair / OP. Wrath of the Gods is OP, Hornet's Ring is OP, Rapiers are OP, Claymore is OP, Moonlight Greatsword is OP, Crystal Soul Spear is OP. Like, in other words, I think, you know, weapon buffs are OP. So elemental builds are OP, weapon builds are OP. I guess the only thing that isn't OP is like straight sword hilt and archer builds. But even that's cheap if you use poison arrows, so I don't know, guys. Healing is cheap even if your opponent heals, etc., etc. Ad nauseum. I've talked about this a lot, so because I really just can't please everybody, I'm just going to PvP the way I want to, like I always have. I'm just going to spend a little less time justifying it. Sometimes I'll respond to the comments. It's whatever. I'm not going to plan out my entire life in this series. It's probably going to be a long series to get to 99 souvenirs, and I'm not going to do it in like a day, so we'll see how things shake out. The series is sort of on hold until the next edition comes out, because I killed Gwendolyn, and frankly, I don't really want to I don't want to leave this version of New Game until I've done the new content on this character at least once, because there are things in the Prepare to Die edition this character is going to utilize. I'm not going to spell all those out right now, and I foolishly go for a Tranquil Walk of Peace there. Really poor spacing, definitely wasn't going to work out, and all in all, stupid decision. And I pretty much run away from him and waste my Tranquil Walk. This was a more embarrassing match. I guess when you go through a series of PvP videos, there's going to be mistakes going to be made, so don't expect flawless victories, and don't expect, you know, there will be some flawless victories, so we'll see what happens. I do like that this guy's item build looks pretty sweet, and I'm interested to see how everyone adapts to the Prepare to Die edition changes, because I definitely had a a learning curve moment on PC, and I'm wanting to see how many players will have that same learning curve when they go through this. And that backstab just seemed kind of lame. I'm not sure how that happened. Sometimes, I understand the mechanics of backstabs and lag stabs and things like that, but sometimes I'm just a little amazed by the whole thing. And that guy, of course, damages me before my backstab, negating it. Good save there by him. And of course, his roll seemed a little laggy. I don't know. I had to go through sort of on a sidebar, I had to go through a lot of trouble to get my PlayStation 3 connected. My network administrator decided he was going to start blocking PlayStation 3s, despite the fact that I'm an employee and I have to live on campus and all that kind of good stuff because I'm a hall director. He still decided to go ahead and block my stuff, so I had to go through some proxies and things like that to get my PlayStation 3 connected. So sometimes the good that men do and the bad that men do, just to do the good that men do paired with the bad things I have to do to counter those quote-unquote good things just complicates everything. But here we are. Anyway, moving on to a couple channel updates. I know it's been really slow on the updates, but part of that, there was a lot of different reasons for that, and I don't apologize for that. One of that was quality control. I had made some videos, and I just wasn't satisfied with my commentary. I wasn't satisfied with the gameplay I was putting up, and it's been tough getting a good Dota gameplay, and a lot of my friends that partied with me in Dota have kind of given it up. So now I'm rolling solo a lot, and it's a game that's challenging to play without help, and also it's just been tough getting good Dota gameplay. And Dark Souls, I didn't really like recording it on the PC, so between all these different things, I've just sort of had an inspiration/talent drain, and I would rather upload nothing than upload stuff that I didn't think was good. That's always been my philosophy, and it probably will be until this channel ceases to be. Of course, God willing, it will be around for a long time. So when there's a lack of updates, normally it's due to lack of inspiration or lack of time. In this last case, it was actually both. I couldn't really come up with anything that got me highly pumped or motivated to upload, and I've been busy with school and work as always, so kind of winded up here. And with this guy, I'm kind of playing around, trying to practice backstabs and parries. I'm going to mess around with some bad miracles here. I perceive that this guy isn't that great. No offense to him, I just don't perceive he's an amazing player, and the fact that he's waiting to be invaded, then Flaskin kind of proves it. And I mistime all my parries there. Guys, I'm really bad at parrying. I was a little better. When I was PvPing a lot, I got the parrying timings down for a lot of weapons, and unfortunately I learned almost all of them on the parrying dagger, and I'm just struggling to get used to it on like the Sanctus and the normal parry rate shield. So, oh yeah, gotta throw the taunt out there, dude. So, a little history on this match, this Seraph King dude, and FYI, I'm not the type of player that hides the PlayStation 3 accounts when I invade. I know a lot of other big uploaders hide that, but it's a name on the internet, on an online game. I think that people's identities are protected well enough that I don't need to put cute little pictures to hide invasion names, although I think it is a good service, the uploaders that do it. This guy, I was invading the Berg for a while. When I kept invading, I got this guy several times, and he kept disconnecting, which is frustrating because it's like, you beat me once and now you're afraid for the rematch. But in any case, after one Wrath, he almost dies. And I know he's going to run in Flask because that's just how he rolls. And then he takes the second Wrath to the face and he goes down. So of course I've got to get my counter taunt in. Surprisingly, when I used to do this, I used to be kind of mad when people BS taunted me. And now it doesn't even bother me anymore. Now I just kind of taunt back because I assume if they're cocky enough to give a butthole taunt to me, then they're also cocky enough to get frustrated when I throw it back at them. That guy wasn't in the Berg anymore because I kept invading there for a while and I never got another match with Seraph King. So if you happen to watch this video, dude, I'd actually love to get some organized matches because, I don't know, you seem to perceive or believe you have a lot of skill, and I'd like to sort of challenge that. So what else? Oh, absolutely. I actually need the help of the community here a little bit, like I talked about earlier. Close to 2,000 subscribers at the time this video was being made, so I may be a little above that or a little below that, depending on how things go, how many people just jump ship because I don't upload enough, or whatever, we'll see what happens. But one thing I would like to request is I want to do sort of a Dark Souls cosplay thing, or I want to dress up like an NPC, maybe make a few personal modifications, stuff like that. So I'm going to ask the community who watches my Dark Souls videos enough to kind of a handle on who I am, or enough to think they have an idea based on this video alone. I'd like to ask the community to do one of two things or both things in the comment section. And yes, I still read all the comments on my videos. I just don't reply to all of them due to time constraints, or sometimes I just don't really have anything to say. And it's hard to say how any one particular comment will be viewed by me. A lot of it is based on my mood. But in any case, I would like the community in the comments section or on the Facebook, whatever you're comfortable with, to tell me what Dark Souls NPC I remind them of. Now, of course, I realize that Dark Souls players are not the same as Dark Souls NPCs, and a lot of the NPCs have kind of flat dialogue, so just think of it as sort of on a loose reference. As a loose reference, what Dark Souls NPC do I remind you of the most? Because whatever the community votes on, I will most likely cosplay PvP as, just for giggles, to mix it up. Something to break up the monotony of the, not some monotony, but to break up the Road to 99 Souvenirs of Reprisal, Road to the Darkmoon. I want to break that up with just some random PvP on like a cosplay setup. So we'll see what you guys think would be the appropriate Ego Xeno NPC cosplay. And if you're really not into that, you don't want to go there, but you like to participate in the activity, you can instead tell me the kind of character you think I would build. Like, what kind of character you think best suits my playstyle or my personality? You know, well, I think Ego Xeno's a Faith Caster. Oh man, that guy's a sweet parry out there on my Shotel. It's too bad he didn't monopolize on it. This guy seemed like a good PvPer to me. And this was pretty close to an honor duel in my opinion. I'd like to fight this guy again, so if he happens to watch this video, man, hit me up. I really enjoyed our matches. Berg matches I usually enjoy a lot more than kiln matches, but... So yeah, in any case, tell me the kind of NPC you think I should rock, or, failing that, tell me the kind of character you think I would do well with, and things like that. Just give me your feedback. But I'm definitely interested in doing more of a theme thing than an effectiveness thing. So whatever my personality is well suited to, hit me up. And I'll just repeat myself 9 or 10 times, belaboring the point, like any good educator. As an education major, I feel as though I am personally required to repeat myself multiple times. I think it gets bred into you whether you realize it or not. And just watching this video, guys, I cannot wait until the Darkwood Grain Ring is drawn. I think it's going to be an amazing item. I still think it's the best ring in the game, but I don't actually intend to utilize it on some of my coming characters, just to get away from it. I don't think there's any ethical problem with using that ring. Before the patch, I don't think there's anything wrong with using it because 99% of all players were using it, so when in Rome, do as the Romans do, to a point. I mean, maintain your dignity, but don't be afraid to use cool stuff. And that's just kind of where I am on that, and that's the end of the PvP match. This is going to be a quick Gwendolyn fight, and I'll wrap up here with some of my thoughts on the Darkwood Grain Ring nerf. Now you pretty much have to choose between poise, mobility, or low-weight weapons, or like a low-weight setup. So I think now the ring is actually still the best ring in the game, but not by a wide margin. On the previous edition of Dark Souls, to build an optimal character, it was essentially required. You could obviously make do without it. You can always make up for equipment with skill, like I said earlier in the video, but you were basically gimping yourself if you didn't use it. I still think to a point most builds will be gimped without it, but I think that there's a lot more viability to not have it, and I look forward to people having a variety of different setups. It's actually my expectation that the Ring of Favor and Protection will be the most popular ring in Dark Souls now. Not close. I think most players like having heavy armor and heavier weapons too much to not use the Darkwood Grain Ring. But I know if I was like, quote-unquote, going to a Dark Souls tournament, which I would scrub out of, by the way, I have no misconceptions about my skill level. But if I was going to a Dark Souls tournament, I definitely know my build would have a Darkwood Grain Ring, absolutely, because I feel like that is the way to go if you play to win. When I Dark Souls PvP, I like to win. I don't particularly enjoy losing, but I don't mind losing. One of those guys, play to win, but don't sacrifice fun in the name of winning. I don't have to win to have fun, I guess is the easiest way to put it, which maybe that's spoken like a true loser, I don't know. I was never much into athletics. Played some sports and ran track and stuff like that, but to me it was never really about winning. It was more about trying to be fit and or trying to be involved with a group of people. Despite being heavily introverted, I still see that it's really important to network and socialize wherever possible. And by the way, networking is on my top 10 most hated words, so just want to throw that out there. I was actually really disappointed I didn't get a hit on Gwendolyn on that one, because I felt like I did some pretty cool rolling to get through those homing crystal soul mass variants, and all of Gwendolyn's magic. I'm basically rolling through it with the like hacks invincibility frames on this Darkwood grain ring, and it's just always disappointing when you do like those cool, like almost Hollywood like flip moments, like, oh man, I'm Johnny Cage, finish him, and I just, you know, don't even get a hit off. It's just disappointing to say the least. So yeah, so I've actually reached the agenda. That's the end of everything I want to talk about on this video, and I did want to announce that I'm a Cyberlink Power Director user, and NVIDIA graphics drivers absolutely suck with that windowing program, that rendering program, because there's a variety of problems, but essentially when you upload your video into your editor, import it rather, the freaking game, can't even talk. You know what? I'll go into the next video. This one's over. I'll see you guys next time, and I'd like to thank everyone for watching as always, and let me know if you're looking forward to the series. Alright guys, everyone, take care.